So, you feel like being more productive and want the perfect daily routine in high school. Well, I'm a senior with just 2 months left before I get to graduate. Oh, thank gosh. Senioritis hits hard. And it's pretty smart of you to come to this video because there is a unique problem separating a high school routine from a college routine that all these YouTubers are missing. The unique problem for high school students is this box right here. Alright, I'll explain it. The unique problem is that high school students' days are very scheduled. Just from the beginning, stuff that you can't control. For example, the average high school student's day is going to start around 7:30 a.m. and end at 3 p.m. So if you do some quick math there, that's 8.5 hours of schooling that you cannot get rid of. Then add in the amount of time that high school students should be sleeping, which is in bed for around 10 hours. So then you get, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4.5 hours of free time, plus I gave this imaginary high school student 1 hour of time to get ready before school. So best case scenario, you're getting like 6 hours of free time. College in many ways has a lot of variance, but in many ways, the way that the classes are made is up to free choice. And so, for the most part, you can pick when your classes start, while in school, you can't. So in college, you can specifically craft a schedule around the schedule for the day that you want. And that makes it much easier to do a routine video because college students have a lot of things similar, from California to Maine to Texas to Montana. But in high school, the differences are immense. I mean, not even talking about the statewide differences where southern schools end like a month earlier than New York schools and just give worse academics, but that's not the point. But there's even crazy differences in state. Like for example, just while I've been going to high school, I went from having a bus ride that was around 35 minutes in freshman and sophomore year to junior year where an extra kid on my bus who was way further than the rest of us made my bus ride around 1.25 hours long. And then once I got a car and my license and started driving, my commute to school was 20 minutes. So the difference between spending 2.5 hours on transportation versus 40 minutes every day is really gonna make a huge difference for your schedule. And for example, if you're an ID 10T and have much less sophisticated classes than myself here, then you're probably gonna have a lot less homework to do than me. So basically, it's much harder to make a video for every single high school student than it is for every college student, because things are just gonna be way different across each high school. So I'm gonna give you an example of a routine and point out a couple must-haves that you really need to add to your schedule. And then it's up to you, maybe with a little help from me, but mostly up to you to bend this routine to your specific schedule. I don't want to have to make you wait for the most important information. So I'm gonna give you the most important thing you can do right now. This completely changed my life because I went from someone who would get picked on and was terribly lazy and just plain unproductive. I would literally just think about Minecraft and Terraria all day in class. But through this one thing, I became the coolest kid in class. Not actually, but working out is the #1 thing you can do for yourself. Because think of anything you could possibly want to improve about yourself, and working out is going to have a significant impact on improving that. You can be more attractive, you can be more productive, you can be more mindful, you can be stronger, you can be more fulfilled in exchange for just 1 hour, 2 to 4 times a week. That can sound a little scary though, but you definitely don't have to start like that. The first thing I recommend to anyone who's interested in starting to work out is to forego any sort of home gym or any sort of paid membership at a gym and then just take advantage of push-ups, pull-ups, and squats. So for push-ups, you can do them anywhere. And what you can do is you can use items around the house to change your angle to either make push-ups more difficult or easier. Higher incline for easier, lower incline for harder. And for a squat, all you gotta do is find something that's decently heavy for you and do anywhere between 6 to 20 squats. You can really have any sort of range. I don't know, find a huge stone that weighs like 40 pounds in your backyard or something and start doing squats like that. Or if that really doesn't work for you, then you can do Bulgarian split squats, which are gonna be really mentally taxing, but hey, that's good for your brain. And then for pull-ups, you just gotta find some sort of straight bar or some straight anything around you in order to do pull-ups on. I used to have an unused lead pipe in my basement, which could maintain my weight. And then when I moved houses, I just found the nearest branch in my front yard or backyard and started doing pull-ups on that. And if you really have nothing, I think it's like $15 on Amazon. And then just like push-ups, you might not be able to do a full one when you start out. And so instead of trying to actually do a pull-up from the beginning, just use something to get height up to the bar and then control your decline down for 5 to 10 reps. And at the end of the day, if you're just doing these things, you're getting like 85–90% of the benefits of working out. Because 85–90% of the benefits of working out is just consistency. That's a huge thing with any sort of routine. You're gonna hear it consistently throughout this video. None of these habits are of any use if you can't do them day after day after day. Because just one day of working out is gonna have very little difference for you. But having 1 month of working out is gonna have a large difference. So just make sure that you're always working out 2 to 4 times a week, and you want to hit each muscle group with around 10 sets. But of course, watch other fitness videos to get a more in-depth look on how to start working out. This is just your gateway drug. Then maybe after 1 or 2 months of bodyweight exercises, I would recommend doing an investment into an adjustable dumbbell set. I know mine cost a little over $100. And you know, with the funny business going on, it's probably gonna be even more now. But this is just an investment to be able to work out at home for like probably 5 or 6 months, honestly, because by having adjustable dumbbells, you can do a workout for every sort of muscle in the body. Then when you're reaching a point where you're doing a lot of sets at the max weight of an exercise, then it's time for you to get a gym membership. But by that time, it won't seem that crazy to you, and then you will have been consistent for so long that you'll do fine in a gym environment. And to understand the importance of working out, there's some days where I spend 13 hours between school and work, but I still make sure that I use that 1 or 2 hours of free time I have to work out in the gym, because consistency is so key. Okay, I gotta come clean on something. So after scripting the first part of the video, I realized that there might be something even more important than working out. Imagine if every school day, you had to get through with just 8% battery on your laptop. Now, don't get me wrong, you could definitely do it, but you wouldn't be able to do your work at your fullest ability. And that, my viewers, is what's going to happen if you have a lacking and inconsistent sleep schedule. Either or, really, both are pretty terrible. Studies have shown that teenagers on average should get around 9 hours of sleep. And the average teenager, 70% of them actually, are getting less than 7 hours of sleep a night. Not only that, but in order to get 9 hours of sleep, you really have to spend 10 hours in bed. And ain't no teen doing that. I mean, I did it, but you know, I'm an odd case. You have to spend 10 hours in bed because, you know, you gotta fall asleep in the first place. And most people don't close their eyes, fall asleep, and then wake up. So let's say you wanna get up an hour before school starts at 6:30 a.m. That means you need to get in bed, not scrolling on your phone, actually trying to sleep from 8:30 p.m. onwards. That is absolutely insane, and I don't know a single person, even myself, that would do that. Mostly because I can't. I literally have to leave my job at 8:30 p.m. I cannot get in bed because I'm literally driving home. This is a reason why I'm so critical about working in high school, because just the whole free time situation is not very kind. You really have to get as close as possible to this number, however, because sleep will, even more than working out, dramatically improve every aspect of your life. An interesting fact that I found out researching for this video is that if you're up for 17 hours, which is the same as getting 7 hours of sleep, you're going to have the intellectual ability as someone with a 0.05 blood alcohol concentration, which is the legal driving limit in Utah and surpassed the legal driving limit for commercial drivers all across the United States. So basically, if you get 7 hours or less sleep a night, you're going to be slightly buzzed throughout the day. So the important thing here is that you need to make a schedule and stick to it. For me personally, I went with 9 p.m. to 6:55 a.m. And yes, I missed out on those 5 minutes. That's probably why I'm 6'3 3/4 and not 6'4. And no matter what, I was in bed at 9 p.m. There had to be some truly terrible situation for me not to be in bed at that time. Now, the one bad habit I fell into that you shouldn't fall into is to get in bed, get under the covers, and then start scrolling on YouTube. Because I did that many nights. Because it's not even like you're trying to sleep. You're basically just wasting your time. You'd be better off using that hour you're scrolling on social media to just be productive. And that's why I literally realized, I just said, well, I'm staying up to 10 p.m. anyways, might as well work on YouTube. So here I am working at 10:06. So just like all things in life, consistency is key. And if you want a fruitful high school career, better than all your peers, you have to sleep. You have to make that sacrifice. So now that you got those two pillars, I can start giving you a routine that you can adjust to your specific schedule. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is wake up with your alarm on the other side of your room. And the goal of this is that you don't spend any unneeded time in your bed scrolling on your phone. So by doing this, you're gonna have to get out of your bed in order to stop the alarm sound and thus prevent you from scrolling on your phone, or even worse, falling asleep again. Then the next thing I recommend for you is to do some sort of mindfulness, depending on your religiosity. You can either pray or meditate in order to start off your day with a good mind. And I'm sure you guys can read that word, but it's hygiene. So the next thing you wanna do is go to the bathroom and just do basic hygiene, whatever is necessary for you. Everyone's face is gonna be a little different. I'm probably gonna need more than you. But at minimum, just wash your face, moisturize it, and get rid of those eye boogies. Next thing you wanna make sure you do is get some water, because the water at your house is probably gonna taste better than the ones at your school. And the ideal amount of ounces varies from person to person, but I would say most people 32 ounces of water is good. And just make sure to have it out of your backpack on the table so you visually think about drinking more often and thus drink more water. Next, I recommend making some lunch. I know some of you guys probably aren't in the financial ability in order to do that. But if you can, I recommend doing this, mostly because you're gonna eat much healthier food and food that's more catered to your specific goals and fitness. But obviously, if you can't do that, then just, I don't know, drink more milk at school, because that's always good for you. Next, I would say pay more attention in school, because by paying more attention, you have to spend less time studying for those big tests. And if you try to pretend like, you're not paying attention in school and doing something else, like, I don't know, working on a business, you're not. I mean, all likelihood, maybe you're very skilled at it and can really focus in, but you're probably just gonna get distracted by your friends. And then at the same time, if you have the ability to, try to do homework in school, and so that you can use your more focused environment at home for those productive tasks you want to do. Then once school's over, make sure you work out, and then make sure to do some chores for your family. And that's it. So basically you've got, if you're going by the average schedule, you probably got from 4:30 to 8 of nothing scheduled. This is just so that you don't get burnt out and don't have a schedule that is just impossible for you to keep up with because it's just so intense. So you can do whatever you want during those hours. You could just sit on Instagram for 5 hours. Of course, I hope that over time you can fill this with more good habits, but by just having the routine that I gave to you now, you're gonna be doing much better than most people. And of course, if you have a job after school, then yeah, you're not gonna have much free time to do what you want. But that's the cost of working. And hey, now you got like 80 bucks. And that routine right there really hits the mark of what a schedule is meant to do. It gives you mindfulness, it gives you efficiency, gives you a good amount of sleep, gives you good health, and it gives you good community. Like I was saying earlier, at some point you probably want to add in more productive habits during this 4:30 to 8 p.m. time slot, but there's no need to do it immediately, because it is much better to do something that you can do consistently than to try something more beneficial that you can't do consistently. But that's not all you have to do. But then some important stuff needs to be fulfilled afterwards. You have to make a to-do list for what you're going to do tomorrow. A to-do list is gonna hold you accountable and stop you from wondering, what should I be doing right now? And that inevitably leads down the chain to scrolling on TikTok. And so the idea here is that the night before, you just make a to-do list either by hand or maybe by using a software like Todoist, which is personally what I do, and just add in the things that you have to do that day. So say, go to school. Maybe if you meditate, add meditation. If you're working out, like you definitely should be, add that. And then if you have free time in the day, just like add some productive hobby or business that you want to do during that time. As you get more freedom over your schedule, you're gonna have to use a to-do list more and more, because otherwise you're just gonna waste multiple days. But in high school, you can really build a good habit that's gonna serve you well when you, in all likelihood, end up going to college, because most of you guys are not gonna have $1 million business or work as a plumber. Then I would say spend 15 to 30 minutes getting ready for bed. And during this time, just do anything that calms you, really. I personally read on my Kindle before bed, but you can also listen to like nature sounds, meditate, journal, or even ASMR. Listen, you may laugh at it, but for a bit, I was sleeping to ASMR every night. Them ASMR artists know what they're doing. And come on, don't forget the saying, don't knock it till you try it. This may seem very, very difficult to you because we are all very addicted to our phones, especially when it's time to go to bed. But this addiction is so bad, in fact, that I made an entire video on how you can truly grasp how far this addiction has gone and what you can do to help your addiction. You can catch that video right over here. Because it really is your phone. Now, don't forget to get the right sleep, start working out, and think better. I'll catch you over in this video right here.